The Milwaukee Bucks were off to a much better start this season compared to last year when they only won 15 games total, but that was before the team announced that Tuesday, Jabari Parker is expected to miss the rest of the season. Parker, who was the second overall pick in this year's draft, will have surgery for a torn ACL in his left knee. Parker injured during the third quarter of the Bucks' win over Phoenix on Monday night. So here's the question, Stephen A., how do you think this injury specifically will impact his future?
Well, you don't know because of the seriousness of the injury. What I will say to you is that it's going to be far less devastating to him than it would be to somebody named Andrew Wiggins, the #1 overall pick in the draft. Jabari went #2. Andrew Wiggins is in Minnesota, drafted by Cleveland. We all raved about his athleticism, his upside. That's why he was picked ahead of Jabari. Not because he's better than Jabari, because Jabari Parker, to me, is a better basketball player than Andrew Wiggins at this particular juncture. He knows how to play the game. Jabari Parker reminds me of a potential Carmelo Anthony in the making. Now, he was only averaging 12 points a game, shooting 10 times a game, only hitting 5 shots. I've spoken to Jason Kidd on several occasions this season, Skip. He raves about the kid, his work ethic, his IQ, his willingness to learn and to be coachable. And obviously, when it comes to Jason Kidd talking about the game of basketball, regardless of what happened in Brooklyn in terms of how he left, you listen because you know the man knows the game of basketball. By the way, I think Jason Kidd's doing a hell of a job in Milwaukee. And it looked like he made the right decision to be gone from Brooklyn.
You got it.
To be quite honest, the way Dwayne Wade put it on them last night at the Barclays Center. But with all of that being said, Jabari Parker's game is not as predicated on athleticism as an Andrew Wiggins. His ability to shoot, to know how to play the game below the basket, just to do the things that come with it. I think that he'll be fine so long as, you know, the knee heals. If it were Andrew Wiggins, I'd be far more worried about him because his game is not as polished and it's so dependent on his great athleticism. Having sustained that kind of injury, I think would have a far more profound effect on him. Sort of like, let's put it to you this way. If Carmelo Anthony suffered Achilles tear or, ACL injury, and LeBron suffered it, who would it affect more? LeBron. Because LeBron, his athleticism, his physicality, his ability to get to the basket, even though he's improved tremendously as a perimeter shooter, he's not the shooter that Melo is. And so because of it, it would affect him more than it would affect Melo. I think this is a similar case with Jabari Parker. I think he can come back for this. If it were Wiggins, I'd be far more concerned about it than I am with Jabari Parker. But he's still got to get healthy, of course.
I agree with what you say about Jabari. His game is not based on his athleticism. In fact, the move he was making, it was a little awkward, and he lost his step.
Well, he lost his step because that's when the knee went out.
I get it. But he's a far, far better basketball player than Andrew Wiggins. Wiggins is all athleticism and mostly on the defensive end, very little on the offensive end.
He plays great defense for a young kid.
That's what I'm saying. I give him that much.
But he's in cruise control too much. Got to amp up his energy.
I don't see your Jabari could be Carmelo. I'm not sure about that. I don't see that.
Not the shot, but the game. The way he plays, it posts back to the basket, some of the things he does, and his physique.
He's only making 25% so far of his three-point shots.
He doesn't shoot.
Maybe he can figure, maybe he can learn.
He doesn't even average one a game.
No.
One attempt a game.
All right. So I'm with you. He probably can bounce back. He seems like a really good kid and a really good basketball player. And this is a big loss for a team that I thought could be a little bit of a surprise. They're 13-12, and I thought maybe they could be one of those teams could squeeze into the backside of the playoffs and make a little bit of noise as he began to figure it out more and more. I definitely think he's the more valuable player going forward than Wiggins is, even though Kobe had nice things to say about Wiggins after the game. He said, I saw a little bit of young me athletically. I don't think Kobe saw young Kobe basketball-wise or offensively.
But again, Wiggins is raved about because of his defensive tenacity and prowess, his athleticism. But the one knock against him thus far is that he needs to churn up that motor a little bit more. He doesn't seem as enthused about wanting it. This rookie kid out of this UCLA, Zach LaVine, this brother.
Big time.
Oh, yeah, big-time athlete. A lot of questions about Steve Alford and what he was doing with that kid because that kid was on the bench. More importantly, he seems to want it more than Andrew Wiggins. Andrew's got to step up the energy, but that's about it.
Minnesota's still 5-19, so
Yeah,
I'm not sure
not great.
he's changing the world in
Although,
Minnesota.
props for Jason Kidd, bad break for him. He said he thought that obviously Jabari Parker was one of his top players. He said that specifically after he watched him D up Blake Griffin. He said he does something that most people can't do.
Jabari can play. And, you know, bad luck, they went out in the NCAA tournament last year, his only year at Duke, and then to be this year and just so early in to get hurt. He's a wonderful, wonderful kid, got a great head on his shoulders, a lot of promise, obviously exceptionally well coached by one of the great ones, Coach K. It's a shame to see this happen. Sure. You know, I almost feel bad for him. This also reminds you of Grant Hill a little bit, even though it was later on when Grant Hill got injured.
Yeah.
You just hate to see that. I just hope that he overcomes it. Good luck to you, kid.
You know what I hate to see? I hate to see how they're doing your boy A-Rod. How do you feel about it?
What are they doing?